it. I'm coming out of my hole, coming out of my hole, out of my self-imposed exile here. I'm finally back in the game here. And when I say that, I've been very, very shy about being on camera and doing video content again. Obviously, I have the soft skills to do so. But what went wrong for me when I put everything I had into my solo ventures, and then when everything went fell apart, I was very, very shy about trying again, about going all in again, because I don't want to be like, oh, what if I fail again? But I think what I had lost in my own mind, it almost wasn't worth the risk again. But it's interesting. I took a step back, kind of reassessed the last 10 years, and a lot of my connections weren't what I thought they were. You know, a lot of my friendships weren't what they thought they were. A lot of my dynamics with people weren't what they thought they were. So let me be very, very frank here, right? Throughout my childhood, teens, maybe late teens, the way I connected with other people was shared activity, right? It was like video games, bro. Like, I only really had a friend group when growing up. It was through Pokemon. We would go over to each other's house. Incredible social game, right? No, shout out to Nintendo. I remember, man, back then we had these Game Boy Advances with the link cables of the GameCube. Peak era, third generation was peak era. Don't at me. Emerald Fire Red, can't get any better than that. But the way I built a relationship was with other people was with shared activity. I was never really good at the interpersonal stuff, or maybe that was something I had to continually develop. It was always around a shared activity. And I think being how I am, being as logical as I am, being as different, right, as I am, I think for other people, sometimes when they would speak to me when I'm younger or maybe over different times, I think what it is for a lot of other people, it's almost like the uncanny valley effect when you look at someone's face and it's like almost like it's like almost like a person, but something that feels like maybe a little off. Maybe I'm only guessing here. I don't know, right? How other people experience me at all. So it was always through shared activity, and then when I was 18, 19, when I really got into the self development thing, and this is what's kind of tragic, right? As a neurodivergent person, in my desire, right, to become quote unquote good enough for other people, what had actually happened was what actually happened, this got fucked up. What actually happened was I self-improved myself so much to the point where I got good at driving my own like stick shift car, right? My own unique kind of makeup. I kind of taught myself how to drive stick and like kind of really master myself and not be all over the place while everyone else was just driving simple automatic. They turn around, they see what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just like passing them on the NASCAR right like track with my stick shift, right? I'm out working them in the workplace. This is happening multiple times. And instead of gaining the favor I was looking for, or the respect, or whatever that I was looking for, or honestly just to be liked by people, it just bred resentment. and it really, and it really fucked with people's ego. And then people would try to feel better about themselves by kind of poking at me socially, right? Thinking, and I think for a very long time, it didn't register as well. And I think a lot of my friendships, I allowed a lot, not like a lot of disrespect, but I allowed disrespect because, hey, we're all friends here. So I would allow these little jabs, and I would allow people to feel better about themselves, right? It got to the point where I cared about other people's feelings more than my own, and I constantly put myself last. This is a pattern that's gonna come up again. What a shock. And it's interesting. When I was 19, I joined like this kind of like self development space, right? That wasn't really the right space for me. And I tend to hyper focus. I get obsessive, and being how I am, I'm a very high energy person. It's a very unfair advantage I have. Honestly, the only two real unfair advantages I have is my high energy and my eyebrows. My eyebrows are like fucking perfect. Like I Leo, yo. Like I came out the womb like this. Like what the fuck? But jokes aside, I hyper focus and I get fucking obsessed. So when I go into a subculture about self development, I get obsessed with it. I put everything I have into it, right? I succeed within that subculture and I climb up the ranks of the hierarchy. I become an assistant coach. I'm being flown out, right, to places so spoiled. flown out to places and being a coach and helping men like literally all over the country, it kind of got to my head a little bit, right? And at the same time, I befriended or made all these connections through this shared space, but these weren't real, genuine connections. These were just connections because I made people feel good. I'd raise the party vibe. There was a video, and I'm a little all over the place. I'll work on this. I'm just starting to do this again. There's a video like 5 years ago where I think it was during COVID, right? When San Francisco was shut down, the last time I lived here. And I'm talking like, hey, if you have nothing to offer people, offer good energy, blah, blah, blah. And that's still true. But the fundamental mistake, yo, look at him. He's so fucking full of hope. He's so yucking full of hope. Uh, the fundamental mistake I was making here was I didn't understand that if you focus on getting people who have quote unquote value or have a certain aesthetic or you want something from them, this creates a lot of quote unquote fake people around you, right? And I think in a lot of today's Instagram culture, we want people who fit our aesthetic, right? Who fit our tribe, who fit our brand. The problem is we live in a culture of people like just kind of using each other for several different things. And the fundamental mistake I made, I'm only speaking for myself here, is I didn't connect as a person, right, with these individuals. It was almost like this within the shared space of self development, and there's almost like this competition within that space, and this constant where do I stand in the hierarchy? Like where do I stand exactly? And I'm a very bizarre person. I just don't, and maybe I need to work on this. I just don't care about social hierarchies. You know, like obviously I can see competence hierarchies, but if I enter a new environment, for example, right, and I just steamroll everyone, right? When there's just high competence, and I make my way just via high competence. But if I don't do the relationship building stuff or move up by having connections with other people and like quote unquote playing the social game, the resentment it breeds in other people is very very real. And I was the type of person sometimes I would get overwhelmed and then self-isolate. People kind of saw that as me not liking people or thinking I'm too good to talk to people or like some like narcissistic thing where I'm just to my own little reality here. So there were several things I was doing wrong in my 20s, right? The connections and friendships I made was just about them siphoning my own energy and raising the vibe up and having I was like the greatest party guy to hang out with ever because every room that I would in I would just raise the energy of the room. uh, Scream, yell, clap. I would even like take a host of like an establishment, raise his shit, have everyone have a better party. That was a really incredible skill that I had. And I accepted people as they were, right? So that combination, you'll be shocked, it got me into a lot of doors, but these relationships weren't genuine. I had an experience last month where I was out with a former friend of mine and she looked at me right in my face while she was drunk and she said, hey, you know, I just want to let you know, I can't believe she fucking said this shit. I am beside myself. I just want to let you know that I don't really care about you as a person. I just like you for your energy. I just want to let you know. That was the most honest moment she had with me in like 8 years. This was someone I considered a friend for like 8 years, you know, and it just, I thank her for the honesty. You're never going to see my ass again, but I thank you for the honesty. Oh man. So yeah, so that's kind of the realization I had, and I realized I wasn't really looking for friends. I was looking for background characters. I was acting like this casting director for my own life, and if someone didn't match a certain aesthetic or look cool next to me, I would subconsciously just reject them right away. Even if this person was cool, even if we had the same hobbies and interests, maybe they're a little weird. Maybe they talked a little weird, looked a little funny, looked a lot dorkier than I looked because maybe I just put effort into my appearance to be quote unquote good enough, and I had hide the more dorky parts of myself. Like guys, like shonen anime is like one of my biggest inspirations in life. Like I would not be sitting here in front of you if certain shows didn't really touch me here, right? Like growing up and even now as an adult, I still watch shonen anime. That's a more dorky part of myself. I do not share with people, you know, but it is a very fundamental part of myself. And the problem is when I lived life in this way, it attracted energy vampires, especially with my high energy. And when that friend said that to me, that was like my ultimate wake up call. It made me realize I was like trying to build a not like friendships with people or something real. It was almost like I was trying to build like a modeling agency instead of kind of building like an Avengers level team with people who are like quirky, weird, maybe like outcasts in society, but they have their own special ability or power, to bring to the table. It's like the Hulk is a fucking mess, guys. Like, yeah, this nigga bipolar. You don't want to get him angry. Maybe it's not a good example. Maybe it's not a good example for a friend here. But he's a mess. He doesn't look aesthetic, right? But when the aliens invade, you want that motherfucker on your side for sure. Like I've been rejecting. I feel like loyal Hulks and Bruce Banners, right, to chase like the quote unquote fake models to fit some kind of image in my head, and I'm kind of just done, with the emotional immaturity and I want to live a life where I work hard and I give good energy, and I want around people around me to have the same thing. So I'm kind of hitting this point where I'm firing the pretty people. I'm firing the models. I'm done with people who don't respect other people's time and energy. I'm looking for the heavy lifters. People not like people who quote unquote text back, but the people who show up. Bare minimum. I remember during that really difficult 2-year period, I was trying to buy a Mercedes from someone, and it, it got fucking totaled. Two totaled cars the past 2 years, and it was very revealing who gave a fuck, you know, who asked about me, who gave a fuck, and I kind of hit a point where I'm not casting for an audience that doesn't care anymore. I'm building my own personal team for me, my own quote unquote thunderbolts or avengers of deeply flawed people, but who've done the work and who have real character and they care about how they make other people feel and not have their own ego first or whatever fantasy they're trying to create in their reality. I never, ever, ever want to use someone as a resource or even accidentally do that over ever again. Because long story short, this is gonna be another video in itself. That 2-year period, I experienced something I could have accidentally done to someone else, and then what it did for me and my own realizations and self concept was transformative. And things really couldn't have gone a different way for me. So I'm deeply, deeply thankful to be here at 31 and reassessing my relationships and being back on video and fucking talking again, and there'll be more. This is fun for me, I enjoy sharing myself to an extent. But yeah, there'll be more. I just did this just to rip off the band-aid, but there'll be more, guys. Thank you.